programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and FreedomSlips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, FreedomSlips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hello and welcome back to Dave and Mackie's Shiny Side Out. Now, important message for everybody out in listener land. This is listener funded radio, which means please donate if you can. Any kind of currency is good, including crypto. But if you want to send gold or silver, that's fine. Well, take it. Go straight to the station. And how to do it? Well, just go to the station's website, revolution.radio, and it's really easy to do. You can also become a supporter on Patreon, a patron on Patreon, if you wanted to do that. But if you can't give money, then you can certainly tell people about the station. That's helpful too, right? And I'd say probably just as helpful. So tell people about the station if you can't donate, or donate if you can. Thank you very much. And Dave is right. We are talking about utopian lands and the golden age. Utopian lands and the golden age. I'm just going to give you a bit of an intro here. Now, the reason we're doing this, and I'll let Dave choose here. We had the choice between Utopian Lands and the Golden Age and the Hollow Earth. Those are two shows that we're going to do for you, because what we presented over the last few weeks has been fairly heavy and quite disturbing. And I'd say, if you didn't know about it, you know, the human medical experiments, etc., that can be quite a humdinger to swallow. So we thought maybe something a little lighter. A little less, if you want to send gold or silver, that's fine. Disturbing. And the Utopian Lands and the Golden Age, I think, are just perfect for that. It's very interesting. We're going to touch on a whole bunch of different things, and of course, you know, we'll own of insanity to bring it all together. Now, I'm just going to give you the quick intro, and then Dave can tell us about the ages of man. Most, if not all, cultures have myths and legends of ages gone past, right? These ages are usually organized into a systematic descent into chaos from an initial golden age. And by golden age here, I will also include an age where the gods ruled the earth, or we lived in paradise, right? So while not mentioned specifically in the text, you know, Adam and Eve living in paradise would be considered a golden age from our point of view, right? Because it was brilliant. You had to do nothing. You just was there eating apples. Well, maybe not apples. But you know, there are similar things throughout every single culture where either gods ruled or really, you know, wise people ruled, and there was this amazing age of plenty, prosperity, and abundance, etc., etc. Anywho, why don't you tell us about the ages of man, Dave?
Absolutely. Welcome to. Hey, everybody. Ages of man. Both Hesiod, or Hesiod, and Ovid offered accounts of the successive ages of humanity, which tend to progress from an original, long-gone age in which humans enjoyed a nearly divine existence to the current age of the writer, in which humans are beset by innumerable pains and evils. In the two accounts that survive from ancient Greece and Rome, this degradation of the human condition over time is indicated symbolically with metals of successively decreasing value but increasing hardness. The Hesiod's 5 ages. The Greek poet Hesiod, between 750 and 650 BC, outlined his 5 ages in his poem Work and Days. Now we've got lines 109 to 201. His list is Golden Age. The Golden Age is the only age that falls within the rules of Cronus. Created by the immortals who live on Olympus, these humans were said to live among the gods and freely mingled with them. Peace and harmony prevailed during this age. Humans did not have to work to feed themselves, for the earth provided food in abundance. They lived to very old age, but with a youthful appearance, and eventually died peacefully. Their spirits live on as guardians. Plato in Cratylus 397e recounts the golden race of men who came first. He clarifies that Hesiod did not mean men literally made of gold, but good and noble. He describes these men as daemons upon the earth, since daemons is derived from or the Greek, it looks like, meaning knowing or wise. They are beneficent, preventing ills and guardians of mortals. Meki, the Silver Age and every age that follows fall within the rules of Cronus' successor and son Zeus. Men in the Silver Age lived for 100 years under the dominion of their mothers. They lived only a short time as grown adults and spent that time in strife with one another. During this age, men refused to worship the gods, and Zeus destroyed them for their impiety. After death, humans of this age became blessed spirits of the underworld. Meki, with us?
I'm here, buddy.
Excellent. Bronze Age, Meki.
Okay, very good. This age is also sometimes known as the Copper Age or Brazen Age. Men of the Bronze Age were hardened and tough, as war was the purpose and passion. Zeus created these humans out of the ash tree. Their armor was forged of bronze, as were their homes and tools. The men of this age were undone by their own violent ways and left no named spirits. Instead, they dwell in the dark house of Hades. This age came to an end with the flood of Deucalion. This is the flood myth again. Heroic Age. The Heroic Age is the one age that does not correspond with any metal. It is also the only age that improves upon the age it follows. It was the heroes of this age who fought at Thebes and Troy. This race of humans died and went to Elysium. The Iron Age. Hesiod finds himself in the Iron Age. During this age, humans live in existence of toil and misery. Children dishonor their parents, brother fights with brother, and the social contract between guest and host is forgotten. During this age, might makes right, and bad men use lies to be thought good. At the height of this age, humans no longer feel shame or indignation at wrongdoing. Babies will be born with gray hair, and the gods will have completely forsaken humanity. There will be no help against evil.
Wow, it's got my ticket.
Yeah.
Ovid's Four Ages. The Roman poet Ovid, 1st century BC, 1st century AD, tells a similar myth of 4 ages in Book 1, pages 89 to 150 of the Metamorphoses. His account is similar to Hesiod's, with the exception that he omits the heroic age. Ovid emphasizes that justice and peace defined the Golden Age. He adds that in this age men did not yet know the art of navigation and therefore did not explore the larger world. Further, no man had knowledge of any arts but agriculture. In the Silver Age, Jupiter introduces the seasons, and men consequently learn of the art of agriculture and architecture. In the Bronze Age, Ovid writes, men were prone to warfare, but not impiety. Finally, in the Iron Age, men demarcate nations with boundaries. They learn the arts of navigation and mining. They are warlike, greedy, and impious. Truth, modesty, and loyalty are nowhere to be found. Mickey.
Now we're going to bring in the, the Aztec view. And it's slightly different, but they also, and in fact, a lot of the North American Indians and South American Indians believe that we lived through different worlds. Again, it's, in my opinion, synonymous with age. And most of the ages start with an age of the gods. So let's just see what the Aztecs have to tell us. In creation myths, the term 5 suns refers to the belief that certain Nahua cultures and Aztec peoples that the world has gone through 5 distinct cycles of creation and destruction, with the current era being the 5th. It's actually also interesting. This is a parallel to Hindu and Jainism and Buddhist mythology, in fact. It is primarily derived from a combination of myth, cosmologies, and eschatological beliefs that were originally held by pre-Columbian peoples in the Mesoamerican region, including central Mexico. And it is part of a large mythology of 5th world or 5th sun beliefs. Like I said, this is fairly pervasive, not just in Meso or South America, but in the Americas in general. The late post-classic Aztecs created and developed their own version of the 5 suns myth, which incorporated and transformed elements from previous Mesoamerican creation myths while introducing new ideas that were specific to their culture. In the Aztec and other Nahua creation myths, it was believed that the universe had gone through 4 iterations before the current one, and each of these prior worlds had been destroyed by gods due to the behavior of its inhabitants. Dave?
Yeah, that's so true. Legend. According to the legend, from the void that was the rest of the universe, the first god, Ometeotl, created itself. The nature of Ometeotl, the god of duality, was both male and female, shared by Meteotl, Lord of Duality. The Ometeotl, Lady of the Duality, Ometeotl, gave birth to 4 children. The 4, Tezcatlipoca, who each preside over the 4 cardinal directions. Over the west presides White Tezcatlipoca, Quetzalcoatl, and wind. Over the south presides Blue Tezcatlipoca, and Hits. So I'll try it. Huitzilopocatli.
Nice.
The god of war. Yes, that'll do. Over the east, I'm sure there's people in South America absolutely spinning in their graves because of my poor pronunciations. But, I'll get through it. Over the east presides the red Tezcatlipoca, Zippy Totec, or Exipe Totec, the god of gold, farming, and springtime. And over the north presides the black Tezcatlipoca, also called simply Tezcatlipoca, the god of judgment, night, deceit, sorcery, and the earth. The Aztecs believed that the gods created the universe. Teotihuacan, the name was given by the Nahuatl speaking Aztecs centuries after the fall of the city around 550 CE. The term has been glossed as birthplace of the gods or place where the gods were born, reflecting Nuha creation myths that were said to occur in Teotihuacan. Meki,
nice.
First sun.
First sun. It was 4 gods who eventually created all the other gods and the world we know today. But before they could create, they had to destroy. For every time they attempted to create something, it would fall into the water beneath them and be eaten by Chipactli, the giant earth crocodile, who swam through the water with mouths at every one of her joints. From the 4 Tezcatlipoca descended the first people who were giants. Giants, Dave. They created the other gods, the most important of whom were the water gods. Tlaloc, the god of rain and fertility, and Chalchiahutlicue, the goddess of lakes, rivers, and oceans, and also the goddess of beauty. To give light, they needed a god to become the sun, and the black Tezcatlipoca was chosen, but either because he had lost a leg or because he was god of the night, he only managed to become half a sun. The world continued in this way for some time, but a sibling rivalry grew between Quetzalcoatl and his brother, the mighty sun, who Quetzalcoatl eventually decided to knock from the sky with a stone club. With no sun, the world was totally black, and in his anger, Tezcatlipoca commanded his jaguars to eat all the people.
The second sun. The gods created humans who were of normal stature, with Quetzalcoatl serving as the sun for the new civilization as an attempt to bring balance to the world, but their attempts ultimately failed as humans began to drift away from the beliefs and teachings of the gods and instead embraced greed and corruption. Wow, it sounds like today, doesn't it? As a consequence, Tezcatlipoca showcased his dominance and strength as a god of magic and justice by transforming the human-like people into monkeys. Quetzalcoatl, who had held the flawed people in great regard, was greatly distressed and sent away the monkeys with a powerful hurricane. After they were banished, Quetzalcoatl stepped down from his role as the sun and crafted a new, more perfect race of humans.
I'm going to say something about the... Anyway, there's actually not more. The third son. Tlaloc was crowned the new sun, but Tezcatlipoca, the mischievous god, tricked and deceived him, snatching away the love of his life. Chocchiquetzal, the deity of beauty, flowers, and corn. Tlaloc had become so consumed by his own grief and sorrow that he was no longer able to fulfill his duties as the sun. Therefore, a great drought befell the people of the world. People desperately prayed for rain and begged for mercy, but their pleas fell on deaf ears. In a fit of rage, Tlaloc unleashed a rain of fire upon the earth, completely destroying it and leaving nothing but ashes in its wake. Following this cataclysmic event, the gods then worked together to create a new earth, allowing life to be reborn from the seemingly lifeless and barren land.
The fourth son, and good lord, the son, and also Tlaloc's new wife, was Chalchiahutlicue. She was very loving towards the people, but Tezcatlipoca was not. Both the people and Chalchiahutlicue felt his judgment when he told the water goddess that she was not truly loving and only faked kindness out of selfishness to gain the people's praise. Chalchiahutlicue was so crushed by these words that she cried blood for the next 52 years, causing a horrific flood that drowned everyone on Earth. Humans became fish in order to survive.
That's really interesting. There's a lot of themes here which we should be all familiar with. Which brings us, of course, to the fifth son. Quetzalcoatl would not accept the destruction of his people and went to the underworld, where he stole their bones from the god Mictlantecutli. He dipped these bones in his own blood to resurrect his people, who reopened their eyes to a sky illuminated by the current sun, Huitzilipoctli. The Canton Huitzanahua, or the stars of the south, became jealous of their brighter, more important brother Huitzilipoctli. Their leader, Coyolxauhqui, goddess of the moon, led them in an assault on the sun, and every night they come close to victory when they shine throughout the sky, but are beaten back by the mighty Huitzilipoctli, who rules the daytime sky. To aid this all-important god, in his continuing war, the Aztecs offer him the nourishment of human sacrifices. They also offer human sacrifices to Tezcatlipoca in fear of his judgment, offer their own blood to Quetzalcoatl, who opposes fatal sacrifices, in thanks of his blood sacrifice for them, and give offerings to many other gods for many purposes. Should these sacrifices cease, or should mankind fail to please the gods for any other reason, this fifth sun will go black, the world will be shattered by a catastrophic earthquake, and the Tzimitzli will slay Huitzilopochtli and all of humanity.
Wow, there's so many things in there.
Yeah,
like
let's do some. Oh, dude, there's buckets, but let's do Sumerians because that will nicely tie it, because there's a lot of stuff we have to unpack here. So now, you take it, and you'll see what I mean.
Okay. Sumerians. One could argue that the Sumerians also had what we would consider a golden age, when prior to the flood, gods ruled the earth, the antediluvian rulers. None of the following pre-dynastic antediluvian rulers have been verified as historical by archaeological excavations, epigraphical inscriptions, or otherwise. While there is no evidence they ever reigned as such, the Sumerians purported them to have lived in the mythical era before the Great Deluge. The antediluvian reigns were measured in Sumerian numerical units known as sars, units of 3,600 years, ners, units of 600, and sosas, units of 60. Attempts to have been made to map these numbers into more reasonable regnal lengths. What's a regnal? I wonder what that is.
Reign, the length of a reign.
Oh, I see. That makes sense. Yes. So I'm going to put on the screen some of these things we can see.
So this is the important thing here, right? Now, I don't know if you recall this, and this is where we're going to sort of tie it together for everybody. But everybody was talking about the longevity in the Golden Age, right?
Yeah.
The people lived for a long time, etc., etc. What does it say? Golden Age. Here we go. Created by the immortals who live on Olympus, these humans were said to live among the gods and mingle with them. Okay, they lived to a very old age, but with a youthful appearance, and eventually they died peacefully. Now that sort of fell away, and something similar here. There were giants that were created, right, by the gods in the Mayan myths, and also they were quite long-lived as well, which is interesting. And then again, in our own biblical traditions, if you look at it, you'll find that the pre-flood people lived a lot longer than the post-flood people, right?
That's right.
And you can argue that the pre-flood is the golden age or part thereof. In fact, we don't know how long Adam and Eve lived at all, to be honest with you. I mean, if you want to get to that point. But there's certainly a lot of parallels. There's talk of giants in the golden time. There's talk of really long lives, and this is where the Sumerians come in, and this is important. Now there are 8. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. Yeah, it's 8. I think it's 8 or 7. 7 or 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. There are 8 rulers in the pre-flood times, as far as the Sumerians were concerned. Okay, now these were gods. Remember this. These are gods, and they ruled. Now they didn't live this long. So clearly they would have lived longer than their rule, you would think.
Yeah, that's right.
But they ruled, and they're happy for us to take them, one each.
One by one. Mm-hmm.
Just the name and the year. So Alulim ruled for 28,800 years. In other translations, 67,000 years.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Yeah, okay, cool. So Alalngar was 10 sars, which is 36,000 years, or 20 sars of 72,000 years.
Yeah, and then there was Enmenluana, who ruled for 43,200 years.
Enmengalana, 28 800 years.
Yep. And Dumuzi the shepherd ruled for 36,000 years.
En-Sipad Sid Anna, 28,800 years.
And En-Mendur Anna, 21,000 years.
And Ubara Tutu for 18,600 years.
Now, these are the god rulers. And then after the flood, now this is before the flood. Before the flood. And then after the flood had swept over and the kingship had descended from heaven, the kingship was in Kish. So these are the rulers before the flood, right? And then after the flood, the kings must have come to the earth. One imagines, that's what the legend here says. And they started to rule. Now, we won't go through these here, but these are very long-lived ones as well. So this could be an extension to extent of the pre-flood golden age, but there's a significant difference in the ruling. We might do a few. I mean, Joshua here was meant to have reigned for 1,200 years, Dave.
Yeah, Kalasina Bel, 960 years.
Lishma, 670 years.
And Terra Anna, 426 years, 3 months and 3 days.
Yeah, Babum, that's very specific, isn't it? Babum, 300 years.
Puanum, 840 years.
Yeah, and in that vein, I mean, there's some outliers here which go
right.
for longer, for more than 1,000 years, but then there's one here who was only ruled for 140 years. Now, what most of the establishment says, and fair enough too, is that these are misunderstood timescales. So we haven't got it quite right? So we don't have translated it right, or you know, we're not clearly something is going wrong, because clearly in their mind nobody could rule for 28,000 years.
Well, that's just you know, a little bit of anthropomorphizing, yeah.
Just a little.
Now,
and this is, you're right though. This is completely true. The thing is this though, right? And we've discussed this before, and it's really important as far as the utopian lands and the golden age are concerned. Don't want to speak for Dave, but I think I am. Both Dave and I believe that the human race has been interfered with on a number of occasions. We're not alone, obviously. There are many people out there that have the same thoughts, and there seems to be some evidence. You know, look at our chromosomal count is off. Our DNA is a bit odd. You know, we have seemingly built-in kill switches. You know, aging doesn't seem to quite you know, gel either. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's wrong with us in many different ways. From a genetic point of view, from you know, and we're very weak. If you look at all the other primates,
yeah,
you know, like our cousins, if you will, the chimpanzee, the bonobo, the orangutan, the gorilla, right, and then potentially, you know, Sasquatch and Bigfoot, etc. They are much stronger than we are. Like a chimpanzee, which most people have this picture in their mind of a chimpanzee being this, you know, cute little monkey. You know, it's not a monkey, it's an ape, but, you know, cute little ape that, you know, you can play around this. It would rip you apart.
And do you know people who have pets as, you know, chimpanzees as pets? They can only keep them for a little while. Yep. Because once they get to adult, they could just tear you apart.
Oh, absolutely. It's you know, they eat your face. That's you know, that's not true. So cute. So yeah, so there's a lot of misconceptions as to all of these things, but this is the truth. We're not going to lie to you. It's exactly what it is. So there's a lot of uncertainty as to our actual provenance. Where do we come from? How do we get there? Etc. Etc. Right.
The other thing that we need to mention is, if you're looking at the human race coming from, in a natural evolution from, as the history books currently say in lockstep, they all agree that there's a missing link. That missing link, actually, while it can't be found anywhere, we can't find evidence of it yet, but we went from 48 base pairs to 46 base pair chromosomes. So how? That hasn't happened in the lineage of any creature.
Makes no sense.
No. You ask any expert, Can you explain that to me? Because I'm just a little lost. And they'll go, oh, it just happened.
Yeah, that's it. Essentially, yeah. Oh, it happened. Clearly, it happened. I know it happened. Why did it happen, brother? That's my question here, right?
Yeah.
And you don't get an answer because there is no good answer. There isn't. We don't have one. What we also know is that the age of the human race is being pushed further and further into the past.
Mm-hmm.
When I was about a wee fella in high school in Germany, the human race, Homo sapiens sapiens, was meant to be about 100,000 years old. But, give or take, thereabouts, right? Now, we have pushed it well beyond 300,000 years. Okay.
And if you take into account the dinosaur footprints next to human footprints.
Oh yeah.
Hominids, but they've got our feet.
Yep.
You're talking a long, long time now.
Well, and that's the thing, right? And we've discussed this before, and there's some really good work done by Michael Cremo and associates around this, and we've discussed their books as well. If you get the chance to read that, it's both Forbidden Knowledge as well as Devolution. I want to see sorry, I'm turning around here to see if I can see the title in my bookshelf, so I can give you the exact title. Sorry.
So while you're looking, there was a flood recently a deluge that washed the mud off the base rock in America, somewhere, I forget where it was, and it showed the footprints of what looked like a human and a human child.
Yeah.
That's now fossilized. I suppose, it's gone hard. It's now rock, and it showed walking a path across this mud flat, and then walking back without the child, and being stalked by a North American lion. I'm not talking about mountain lions. Lions did inhabit, North America. So, don't know what happened to the child. There's no anything's anywhere, right? But just wow, doesn't that change the way you think about? Oh, it was a land bridge. No. It was a long time before that.
Yeah. We know now with some certainty that the dates that we all taught in school are wrong. We know this because there's now genetic evidence for the peopling of the Americas, not via the Bering Strait but via the Pacific, because there's no genetic markers left anywhere in North America. But you find genetic markers, for example, that you find in Pacific Island populations, in South American populations. So they must have come via the Pacific. Right? There's really, unless they came the long way via the Atlantic and Europe, which I doubt, but nonetheless, there you are. So we know there's a lot we don't know. There's a lot of work that's being done right now, but of course it's slowed down, and it's slowed down because it doesn't conform with the commonly accepted wisdom. It just isn't, right? So it'll be another 10, 20 years.
All the earth mounds in North America.
Absolutely. I mean, if you really want to, just look at something that's really well done, and I know he's got a lot of detractors, but I just like it. I love his work, in fact, which is Graham Hancock. So if you got a time, watch both seasons of Ancient Apocalypse, and you get an idea for everything that we might not be told. And it's interesting as well that a lot of people want to debate him, and they're quite disingenuous with their facts. And I do urge you to, when you do look him up, look up everything you can find and his responses as well. Don't just go with the initial debunking stuff, right? I know it's tempting, just don't. But look at his follow-up, his defense, and the things that as they happened, right? It's because it's not as clear cut as one might think. And he's been given quite a rough serve, I think. Similar with the people, that claim to have the step pyramid in Indonesia there, whose article was unceremoniously removed from a fairly significant archaeological magazine, with no real explanation or cause, because they sent their response to the removal as well, and it was just, let's just say that the magazine didn't want to upset certain parties in the archaeological community that hold a lot of sway. So that's where we are, right? So to get back, to the ages here, right? So I think it is clear there's something odd going on with the way human beings developed, right? And again, when I was a child, Neanderthal was meant to be an ancestor.
That's
what
right.
we now know, it's not an ancestor; it's our brother.
They were peers, yeah.
Yeah, in fact,
And Florenzus and all the others.
Yeah, because we made babies together, right? They're still within in our DNA. So yeah, that's the thing, right? I mean, it's and they're not. And the funny thing is, they always, whenever you look at a Neanderthal drawing or whatever it might be, it's always like this primitive kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
To be clear, on average, the skulls that have been found, every single Neanderthal brain is bigger than ours.
Mm-hmm.
Significantly bigger, like by 30-40%.
Crazy.
Okay? Well, brain size is not important, really. Okay, fair enough. Whatever you say, Jack. But ultimately, what that means is that their capacity for complex thought was at least as good as ours, at least, if not better. Right?
Well, did they have any other attributes?
Everything,
like telepathy.
literally.
Who knows?
Everything that, that's the thing about everything that we did, they pretty much did.
Wow.
They buried their dead. They had, rituals. From what we know now, they had probably as rich a cultural life as we did. They were artists. It's really not. It's not fair to look at them as these primitive brutes that had no clue about the world and we have this image of this primitive cave dweller, which is completely wrong. Anyway, they might even have been seafarers for all we know, right?
And remember, we shared a cave seasonally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's, look, again, it's just upsetting when you see new evidence come to light and it's completely ignored by the establishment, right? Because people have made a living. I get it. They have made a living. They don't want to change, what they know and surrender their I guess expertise. They want to be they want to still be the experts. I mean, it's ego, right? I get it. I get it. But it just doesn't have any place in science. But again, we look at everything through our lens, right? And each successive iteration, there have been stories coming to us from the Sumerians as well. We were given shorter and shorter lifespans. Okay? And just to be clear here, and this is really important to understand, Dave, now I'm not going to put you on the spot, and if you don't know the right answers, it's okay. It's sort of a rhetorical question. Why were we kicked out of paradise? Why were Adam and Eve kicked out of paradise?
Well, the story is that she ate from the apple, which is the apple of knowledge.
Correct, but that's not why we were kicked out.
No, then why we were kicked out?
So you're right. She made Adam eat from the apple of knowledge. Sorry, it's from the tree of knowledge. He ate the apple. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's a metaphor as far as I'm concerned for gaining knowledge. A similar thing when you look at Lucifer, bringing light to the people, which the gods didn't like, and so. But that's not why we were kicked out of the Garden of Eden. We were kicked out of the Garden of Eden very specifically because they didn't want us, and it's they, because it's Yahweh Elohim, they didn't want us to eat from the tree of life.
That's right.
And in fact, what they did is they put an angel there guarding the tree of life with a flaming sword. Thank you very much.
I love those angels with the swords.
Yeah, and what they said is, and this is the Bible. I'm just quoting from the Bible. The Bible said, they've eaten from the tree of knowledge. Now they can distinguish good from evil. We can't let them eat from the tree of life, otherwise they'll become like us.
That's right.
Become like us.
And that's immortal, effectively.
Or very long-lived. I'm not saying that, I'm not saying invulnerable or anything like that, but certainly, immortal for all intents and purposes. Now, why can't an organism like ours live for tens of thousands of years? And the answer is, well, there is actually no good reason why it can't.
That's right.
There isn't. It could quite quite easily live that long, if only we made a couple of tweaks. The biggest tweak being, apart from a healthy lifestyle, obviously that's key, right? Don't get me wrong. But
can I guess?
Go on.
Telomerase.
Boom. Right there. 10 points. Absolutely.
It was that or Pepsi. So
partial credit.
Partial credit.
But
So
that's exactly right there.
Yeah, so
100%.
look, I have long conversations with people who don't know at all what I'm talking about when I say telomerase. Now, telomeres are the little strands at the end of your DNA, which we used to call, as humans, we used to call them junk DNA. We had no rhyme or reason to understand what they meant, but it was just, we see them at all different lengths of just junk DNA, but then we see the real DNA sequences occur after the start block. But this stuff's before the start block. And as people age, those telomeres reduce in size and they're sacrificed a little bit at a time every time your cells replicate.
Right.
Now, telomerase regrows those junk DNA strands so that you'll never cut into your actual DNA. And yep.
Go on.
No, you can.
What the key thing here to understand is, like, so what? Everybody says, so what? Yeah, sure, it's telomerase, blah, blah, blah. What it does, the incorrect or the flawed copying process that your DNA undergoes when the telomeres are shortened and no longer protected by telomerase is what leads to aging, which leads to death. So death by old age, and this is the thing here, as we just shared with you, these myths said they live to a very old age, but what does it say? What does it say? Abundance. Here we go. They live to very old age, but with a youthful appearance.
That's right.
Yeah, because nobody wants to be living forever old. That's not fun.
Terrible.
Why'd you want to do that for? Right? I mean, that's what Gulliver encountered on his travels, right? Gulliver's travels, he comes to this town, and I think it's an underground city, and these people are all immortal, except they keep aging. That's no good. What's that going to help you?
Useless.
Nobody wants that. So this is really important to understand. So let's get back. Sorry, just very quickly to the ages here, the living for tens of thousands of years. Why not? Because it's crazy, and everything in your body says, Mackie, you're crazy. Common sense says you can't. Blah blah blah. Well, who says? Who says it can't happen? Who says that you can't live for tens of thousands of years?
There is already, for everyone, there's already two creatures on Earth.
Yes.
That live forever. They go back to a nubile state and then they mature again. And that is a jellyfish and a shrimp.
That's exactly right. How do they do it? Well, would love to know, right?
Telomerase. Hello.
Right? Exactly. So it is really important to understand that the biological mechanisms exist. And look, some turtles live for hundreds of years. Crocodiles live for hundreds of years. Some other species, I mean, trees. I mean, they're living organisms. You know, they live for thousands of years.
That's
these
right.
Trees, right? Some of them. And we just have this hard time because we just, within our experiential framework, we can't process it.
No.
Right? We can't. It's just, what do you mean thousands of years? That makes no sense. What? Absolutely, we could live that long. There's absolutely no reason.
Yeah, so thinking about having a physical limit of 120 years looks like it's been engineered, just saying.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's not just my opinion. It's the smartest people on the planet have that opinion. And I think about this, Mackie, and I know we've touched on it, and I don't know if we're going to touch on it in the show notes for this show's arc, but imagine, you're born with your second row of teeth. You get your test teeth just for mucking around in the sandpit, and then you get your real teeth. Could imagine if we only lived, and my example during our longevity show was that if you only lived to 30, you wouldn't know what menopause was.
Bingo.
You just wouldn't know.
Yep.
So once you get to that age, then Mackie's fantastic question was, what if we live for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 years? what other things might we not know about?
Yeah.
There might be something. We could get teeth back. I don't know.
Look, and this is the thing, right? And then Dave actually said this years ago as well. What if we are the giants, right? And then I say we probably are, to be honest with you. Albeit now, somewhat altered and interfered with.
Mm-hmm.
But and there might be very many developmental stages that we no longer partake in because, number one, we're aging and telomerase is switched off. Mm-hmm. With the telomerase switching off, there might be other hormones that are switched off. Which, let's think about it this way. Let's say
mm-hmm.
you put hormone blockers into a prepubescent person.
That's right.
They wouldn't go through puberty, right?
Like a castrato in the olden days.
Yeah, but so they would never know, really. I mean, they wouldn't know what they're missing, but they also wouldn't, they wouldn't develop in a sexual fashion, if you will. Like they wouldn't, develop that way. And something similar might be happening here, where the switching off of the telomerase and maybe other things that were done to us,
mm-hmm.
it turned off other things that should kick in, but do not anymore, right? And because I know people, this is where people get stuck when it comes to the age, right? When it comes to the golden age and the ages that are reported that people live to.
36,000 years, blah, blah, blah,
yeah. And it sounds insane. And I get it. I understand what you're saying, right? But please, just entertain the thought that it might be possible, because there really isn't anything that says it's impossible other than our convention. That's it. Our convention says, oh no, that's just crazy. And our experience, our lived experience says, well, people live to 100 at the most, really, right? And then they die. Or maybe, like in crazy outstanding cases, they might live longer than 100 and maybe 110, 120. But I mean, these are the outrageous lengths already, right?
It says it in the Bible that we're limited to 120.
It does in other myths as well.
That's right.
Right? And you could argue, oh yeah, that's just that's how people explain why we lived such short lives, etc. Well, yeah, but what if we were engineered
mm-hmm.
in a way that we wouldn't live that long? And
well, the Sumerians knew that before they understood what it meant to say it.
Yeah, and we have the tech now. We actually have
mm-hmm.
the tech now that would make it possible for us to extend our life indefinitely. Okay, just to be clear, we actually have the technology. Now it's in its infancy. Officially it's in its infancy,
mm-hmm.
right? But it exists.
How many times, Mackie, have we seen since the year 2000 someone on the news or in a future show saying we have the technology today to live forever?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or we might have it tomorrow, they say.
Yeah, I mean, it's not in 1,000 years or never.
Mm-mm.
Okay,
it's now.
It is reach, and just think about that for a second.
Another story. They said the children being born today,
yes,
may never die.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
This might be the last generation to live forever. Sorry, the last generation to die, or the first generation to live forever. That's exactly right. Now,
yes.
And just put it together with all the other stuff that has been kept from us. Yeah, all the other things that the technology that we no longer that has been hidden from us. All the life that we could be living, not in a scarcity society, but post-scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody dying of starvation, everybody having enough, exploring the cosmos, because we can. And if you're a spacefaring civilization, living that long makes sense, even
yes.
Even if you can travel faster than light, because the universe is a big place.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so it would make sense. Yeah, it's not small. It would make sense to have a long-lived people in that civilization if you're spacefaring, right? Because, again, it is so big. It would take you many, many, many lifetimes to explore it all, if you wanted to, right? It wouldn't be a tomorrow kind of thing. It would take millions of years to meaningfully explore even just one universe. And I think that is, we're being robbed of that. I really do. I know it sounds crazy. I get it. I understand. But it is not actually crazy because the tech exists. Telomere, what are they called? Protocols, to therapy. That's it. Telomere therapy and other things as well are being actively investigated. And we are pushing our lifespan well beyond what we think is possible. In fact, I want to go as far as saying there are creatures out there, and I say creatures advisedly, that have lived for a very long time indeed already with us, that have this tech, and they had this tech for a long, long time.
Yes.
And for tens of thousands of years. Because the thing is this, we talk about these gods here in the Golden Age, right? Whatever they're called. Whatever. Here we go. Alulim, Alangna, Enmen, Luana, etc., etc. Who says they're dead?
That's right. That was only their reign.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh?
Is disclosure forthcoming maybe about them, those
Still
very same ones
being
coming back?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Is that one of the issues here that we're not ready for that particular truth?
In fact, there is a conspiracy theory that suggests that they are coming back. They are on their way, and that in 2029 or something like that, says the conspiracy. I'm not saying I believe it, just saying what it is. That we're being prepped for that.
Yeah, and you know what? Is it impossible? Not really. We should be really careful when we say impossible these days.
That's right.
Really careful, right? Because the universe is a lot more mysterious and a lot crazier, in my opinion, than we were ever given to understand in school. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when you say no categorically, you are going to be probably wrong.
That's right.
Okay, you're probably going to be wrong. No, I don't want you to be wrong. I really don't. I'd love for you to be right all the time, right? But you can't dismiss what we could achieve, and you can't close your eyes to it but see, Dave, we're so indoctrinated. We are so sleep, work, shop, cycle kind of people now. Mm-hmm. That it is almost impossible for us to imagine anything beyond it. Imagine tomorrow someone came along and said, "Oh, you know what? We got free energy. We got anti-gravity. You can now live to 100,000 years, and that's it." People's minds would just completely
that's
blow.
Right.
I say, what?
Yeah.
Who? What?
Yeah, that's right.
And if you look after yourself, you can probably live to 1 million years, right? If you don't,
wow.
If you don't, take drugs or whatever. But yeah, it's and maybe the tech will exist where you can actually do whatever you want because we've got such great medical protocols in place that we can deal with all kinds of poisons in your body, etc., etc. I mean, if a brick falls on your head, you'll probably still die.
That's right.
So avoid bricks falling on your head or falling out of windows. that's probably a good one. Avoid that.
I'm talking to all of you in Russia. Slippery floors and open windows. Watch out, buddy. Yeah.
That's the truth, man. But ultimately, we need to open our minds to these possibilities because they are not possibilities; they are probabilities. Okay.
So, Mekki, I want to just put this. I mean, we've only got a couple of minutes. I want to say that the quantum chip that they made,
mm-hmm.
that did some processing, that would equate to a quintillion years to make an output. It did it in like 20 minutes. And the scientists, this is the scientists, not Mekki and I, we're not making this statement, they made the statement that they believe the only way that it was possible for this new chip that they made to make that calculation within such a short time is that it used other quantum universes
mm-hmm.
to make that calculation possible.
I think we need to talk about that a lot more during maybe during the week.
Yeah,
Plato's Cave. I think we definitely have to discuss this.
Which, of course, you can catch us at 7 a.m. Eastern US time for Plato's Cave on Tuesday and Thursday, and yet again next weekend for Shiny Side Out with Dave and Mekki. And in the meantime, Mekki, what should our listeners do?
Be safe.